Today is a cold, miserable day, but since I don't have to go out in it, I actually like cold, miserable days. Hello, so today I would like to share with you a bit about what my week's been like and what I've been learning through it, and a few other tips as well. But I nearly didn't make a video this week because last week was very busy, as well as that I had 3 days of quite bad headaches. And usually during the week I would take videos or, of things that I've been doing or been baking or things like that. But this last week I didn't really take any photos at all. But anyway, I decided to do a video anyway because that is real life. Sometimes we have times when we're not feeling well and that we have to rest more and that we might not feel like we get much done. And that's just part of life. Sometimes we need to rest more, and sometimes we don't feel very productive and we can't get very much done. But that's okay. Last week I was able to go to, went away for the whole day, which is partly why my week was busy. I went down by Wellington and went to a Down syndrome, kind of like a workshop. And it was for teachers and for teacher aides and for parents with children with Down syndrome. So that was quite interesting. There were a lot of different people talking, and I also got to meet a lady that I met up in Starship when Lydia was a baby. And she's got a little girl with Down syndrome around the same age as Lydia. So I was able to see her there again, which I hadn't seen her for about 5 years, so that was pretty special. So anyway, 2 days of the week I had a bad headache, but it was one that if you kept still and didn't move too much, it didn't hurt too bad. So like if you go to bed or go lay down, then it doesn't hurt so much. So those ones weren't as bad, even though they were still busy days and I couldn't rest that much. But then on Saturday I had a really bad headache, which no matter what I did, it still really hurt, and lying down didn't really help much. Later on in the day, Johan went and got me some better pain relief because I'd run out of the one that actually helps. I do have a problem with headaches. For the last couple of years I've had a bit of a problem with headaches, but I don't very often get them anymore. And it's not very often that I get really bad ones that I've got to go to bed and can't really function. But I find it is good sometimes to be sick or to have times where you don't feel so well. It can be humbling because you realize that we are so dependent on our health. You only need one bad headache and you can't look after your children and you can't keep up with your house. When we are feeling well, it's not too hard to keep up with those things, although it can still be overwhelming. But yeah, if you're not feeling well, it's extra hard. Oh, and today's a busy day too, which is why I'm talking while I'm doing apples. So, last week somebody gave me this bag of apples to cook. So I'm trying to get them all done today too. Oh, but anyway, back to the headaches. I've been reading a book called Daring to Hope, and it's one that one of my sisters lent me, and it's about a girl in Africa, or a lady in Africa, and she's a missionary over there. And she went through a really hard time in her life over there, and it was so hard that she started to doubt God's goodness. And so one way she dealt with those doubts and with the hard time was to write down all the things she saw every day that she was thankful for. And so she used little sticky notes and stuck them all over her kitchen with all the things that she could think of to be thankful to God for. And it helped her to get through that hard time by being thankful. And anyway, on Saturday when I had a really bad headache, I had to remind myself of that because, I had a whole list of things I was going to do on Saturday. I was going to do baking, and I was going to sort out my freezer, and I was going to do these apples as well. But instead I was in bed just about the whole day, and I felt really useless. And, it's frustrating when you can't do the things you want to do. But I had to remind myself that I still had a lot of things to be thankful for. And if you focus on that rather than on what you were planning to do that you can't do, then it goes a whole lot better. And especially with reading this book about in Africa, just reading that book helps you see a lot of things to be thankful for. I have a house. I had a nice warm bed to lay down. My husband was home, so he could look after the children the whole day, and he was happy to do that. He brought us dinner, because I planned to cook dinner as well, but he went and brought us pizza, which was really nice, which is a treat, because we don't have that very often. And I don't have headaches very often. I used to have headaches nearly every day. Now I don't have them very often, so that's another thing to be thankful for. But there's always something to be thankful for, no matter how hard the time is that we're going through or the day that we're going through. It's really important to remember to thank God, to think of all the things, to focus on what we do have and what we can do. On Saturday, because lying down didn't help, I was able to do a bit of work on the computer because it distracted me from the pain. So I was able to put together a video song for children. Also, you can be thankful that there are Christian videos, good videos on YouTube that you can watch when you don't feel well, and that doesn't cost anything. So yeah, last week was busy and then I didn't feel that well. And then yesterday this week's another busy week. And yesterday I had to go to the dentist as well to get a filling, and I didn't feel very good after that as well. But I like object lessons, and I like seeing what we can learn through things that happen. That's the way I learn best. So as I was at the dentist, I was thinking about what I could learn from that situation. And I was thinking that in a way, God is like the dentist who's doing the work in our lives. And I rang up the dentist and made an appointment because one of my teeth wasn't feeling right. So I came to them and asked them to fix my teeth. And when we pray, it's like we're coming to God and asking Him to change us and to fix things in our lives. But in order for the dentist to fix my teeth, I had to give her permission. I had to let her work in my mouth. And some of the time it really hurt. There was already an old filling there, and she had to clean out that filling. And even though she numbed my mouth, whenever she put one of those instruments that clean your teeth, it was really, really sore. And when God cleans us, when He works on things in our life, like maybe the sin or teaching us patience or any of those things, it can really hurt. It can hurt our pride, and it can be hard. But I heard somebody say last week that if there's no pain, there's no gain. And I thought that was a good thing to remember, because I would have liked the dentist to fix my teeth without there being any pain. I wanted my tooth to be better, but I didn't want any pain or anything hard. And in life, I think we can be like that too. We want God to use us. We want God to make something beautiful with our lives. We want God to make us more like Jesus. And yet we don't want any pain. I don't know what you pray the most for, but one of my prayers that I would pray, probably my life's prayer, is that God would make me useful to other people. And I read a quote the other day that says, "We cannot be of great use to others without cost to ourselves." So for God to use us and for God to work in our lives and to fix things in our lives, there will be some pain, there will be some cost. And dentists cost an awful lot of money. But also you have to trust the dentist. I had to trust that she knew what I was doing. She knew what she was doing. Most of the time I couldn't see what she was doing because, you can't see in your mouth. So I had to trust that she knew what she was doing. I had to trust that she wouldn't allow any more pain than what was necessary. And also with God, we need to trust Him to work in our lives. He knows what He's doing. He can see what He's doing, even though we often can't see what He's doing. And we can trust that because they are His hands that are working in our lives, that we can trust Him. I read a story once I heard a preacher telling a story once of a couple. I think they might have been a missionary couple. But anyway, they were in a ship. They were going somewhere in a ship. And there was a really bad storm. And the wife said to her husband, "I'm really scared." And the husband picked up a knife and he said, "Are you scared of this knife?" And she said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Well, why are you not scared of this knife?" And she said, "Because it's in your hands." And she trusted her husband that he wouldn't hurt her with the knife. And the husband said, "Well, the storm is in God's hands, and that's why we don't need to be afraid, because we can trust Him." So I think that's a neat illustration that, when it's even though it's something that might be painful or something that's scary, if it's in God's hands, we don't need to be scared. We can trust Him because He knows what He's doing and He loves us. And there's also a quote that says, "The safest place to be is in God's hands." But, so those are my thoughts about what I've been thinking about this last week. And so on to a few tips. I was thinking about it. I think it's a time management tip this morning, and that is to do the worst thing first. So whatever you need to be doing on a day or on a week, to try to get the worst things done first, because for me, I try to put off the things I don't want to do, try to do them last. But then the whole time that's kind of hanging over you that you need to get it done. Whereas if you just get it done straight away, then you don't have to do it again. So this morning, there was a job that I need to do, which is one that I don't like doing, and I had to go to a lawyer and get my name taken off a trust that I was part of. And I've kind of needed to do it for a while. But yeah, you just put it off because I don't like doing things like that. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go and get it done. And it only took about 10 minutes and I was back home again. So the good tip is to do the worst things first, and then you don't need to think about it again. But when I share tips like that, it doesn't mean I always do them, but they're things that I try to remind myself of, because it does help when you do them. Frugal living tip, I like to shop online for my groceries. Now I know this doesn't work for everybody. Some people are good at going to the supermarket and just buying what they need, but I'm an impulse buyer and I find it very hard to stick to my list and only get what's on my list. Whereas when I do online shopping, I have my list and I just look for the things that are on my list, so I don't really see everything else. And it also saves time and energy. I find it tiring going to the shop, and also it takes a lot of time, whereas if I do it online, I can sit on the couch or on the desk, or even if in my bed if I'm not feeling well, and it doesn't take that long once you're in the habit of doing it. And then with Countdown, I do Countdown because they deliver it. So even though Pack and Save is cheaper, I had to drive to Masterton to pick it up, and then you also got to pay just for somebody to pack it. Whereas with Countdown, I just pay a certain amount a month or every couple of months, and then it only works out to being like a couple of dollars for delivery. Another thing I like is that you can see the whole time you're shopping what it's coming to, the amount. And when you go through the checkout online, if you put more in your cart than what you can afford or over your budget, you can just quickly click off the things that you don't need. So yeah, I just have a better control over what I'm buying when I buy online than when I go to the shop. So easy when you go to the shop, think, oh, I'll just grab this and I'll just grab that, and it just adds up so quickly, and it's just so easy to spend so much more when I actually go to the shop. But that's what works for me, doesn't work for everybody. So you can easily see which one is the cheapest. See, it says $1.77 a litre, that one says $1.79 a litre, that one says $2.34 a litre, that one says $2.45 a litre, so it's very easy to see which one's the cheapest. I already did my shopping yesterday, so this is not what I'm actually buying, but the whole time you are shopping, you can see up there what the total is so far. And before you put your order through, you can see how much it's going to come to, and then yeah, if it's over your budget, you can just easily take off something that you don't need. I find that really handy. There are disadvantages. A couple of weeks ago when I was making a video, I was doing my shopping, so I like to get my shopping done on Mondays and get it out of the way for the week. And so I was thinking of doing that tip then. But I had to laugh that afternoon when I got my groceries, because I had made a mistake on my order, and instead of ordering 0.5 kgs of bananas, I had managed to order 5 kgs. And so I had this huge bag of bananas. So in that instance, it more cost me money, because when you buy online, you don't always see exactly what you're getting. Sometimes you think you're getting something a little bit different. But anyway, most of the time it does save money, and we did still use up those bananas, so it didn't matter. But sometimes there are good advantages too. Sometimes Countdown makes mistakes, and like last night I ordered 2 lots of chicken, 2 kgs of chicken, because it was $9 a kg, which is pretty cheap for chicken. And anyway, when I got it, they'd given me 2 for the price of 1, so I ended up only paying like $7 something for 2 packs of chicken, which was their mistake. And the first time they made a mistake like that, I emailed them and told them, but they said that it was their mistake, so my gain. So sometimes they do make mistakes like that. Sometimes they do make mistakes, so they forget to give you something, or maybe got put on with somebody else's order. But if you just send them a message, they then either refund you, or sometimes they've even come and dropped the thing back off that they forgot. And another tip with buying groceries is with meat. I usually try to only buy meat on special, and then I will buy like a couple of packs. And then, like say with chicken, I try to cut it up before I freeze it. Cut it up into like the portions that I would use. Usually I would just do 1.5 chicken breasts. But I cut it up as well, so that when I go to use it for a meal, it's already cut up, and it just makes making the meal so much easier. So that's what I do if I have the time to cut it up first. And one more tip is to make yogurt in the yogurt maker. And then I just buy those yogurts, and I always get them on special. So usually I can get a yogurt for $3.50, which is about the cheapest you can get. I didn't do much baking this last week because I was busy and because I wasn't feeling that good, but last night I was able to make some muesli bars, and they're really nice muesli bars. So I'm going to link the recipe down below because I think I have it on my blog, on my mum's blog. But I didn't stick exactly to the recipe. I threw in a little bit of coconut and some nuts and some raisins. I mean, not nuts, I threw in some seeds. And I tried to melt chocolate to drizzle on top, which usually that works, but for some reason it just went more like a spread, so I ended up kind of like spreading it on top and not drizzling it. And then I sprinkled some chopped nuts on top as well. But they're really yummy muesli bars, and they're good for school lunch boxes. I just saw on YouTube that they have put some movies on there from Bob Jones University. One of my sisters went to Bob Jones for a while over in America. And they have made some of their own Christian videos. And they're now on YouTube. They're probably one of the first Christian videos that we ever watched because Mum and Dad ordered them from America. So I will link them down below too. There's one called The Printing, which is in Russia, kind of when the Christians are persecuted, or when it's difficult to be a Christian. And they're printing Bibles, which is illegal. So that's quite an interesting one. And then there's Shefi, which is about a circuit rider preacher from a long time back and his ministry. And then there are two children's one. One is called The Treasure Map, which is about accepting other people that are different. Like there's a American Indian boy, which the other children didn't like because he was different, and so they had to learn to accept everybody, even though they're all different. And then there is a Project Dinosaur, which is about creation and evolution, so that's a good one too. Just two more things from my journal. One was a Facebook picture I saw, which I thought was quite good. It's a quote, and it's about suffering. And it says, Job never saw why he suffered, but he saw God, and that was enough. And another thing, I was talking before about being thankful when you're going through something hard or having a hard day, how we need to think about what we are thankful for and what we do have to be thankful for. And this is actually a paraphrase of the verse where it says, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, think on those things. So this says, fix your thoughts on what is true and good and right. Think about things that are pure and lovely, and dwell on the fine good things of others. Think about all you can praise God for and be glad about. So I thought that was interesting. So it talks about if there be any praise, think on these things, and I never knew what that meant, but yeah, it's interesting. Think about all you can praise God for and be glad about.